Hello and welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Worst, a podcast where we watch movie trilogies and series and decide which film, like Christmas, only comes once a year. I'm your host Griner, and joining me...
The name's Morgan, Luke Morgan, and I plan to stay on the top of things.
And I'm 007, and you know all about me. I'm a sex for dinner, death for breakfast kind of guy.
Boy, alright, we're doing...
You really are.
We're doing the Pierce Brosnan Bond quadrilogy. His 4 Bond films: GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, and Die Another Day. Boys, I feel like it's going to be hard to talk about these movies without talking about a certain video game that came out alongside one of them. I feel like, for me, all of my nostalgia for these movies is wrapped up in that video game. Of course, GoldenEye for the N64. How did you guys feel watching these movies? Do you have nostalgia for these movies, or is it just for GoldenEye on the N64?
I think GoldenEye is a very faithful... The movie's a very faithful adaptation of the game that came out first. So I enjoyed seeing the parts and being like, Facility. I played Facility.
Yep.
And then you see Runway, and it's like, oh, look at that.
Sorry, you go.
This is my childhood Bond. So there's definitely nostalgia there. Seeing it again in my late 20s is a different beast, but I'll always have a soft spot for Pierce Brosnan, and we can talk about where he ranks as Bonds, but
Yeah. I obviously have nostalgia for the video game, like I grew up on that, but just as much as that video game, I grew up on the GoldenEye movie as well. I don't know what came first, if it was the chicken or the egg, but I just remember loving the movie and watching it over and over again and playing the game all the time with my brothers. But yeah, like it's different because I feel like it's been a long time since I've watched these films. And as much as before you said the GoldenEye game, I thought you were going to say it's going to be difficult to like talk about these films without talking about Austin Powers as well.
Well, that'll come up
just
too.
watching that.
That's also true.
Yeah, it's funny to watch, a Bond film that's not the Daniel Craig ones, where it is that camp. It is what those parodies are based off of, and it's not, trying to be modern and like to steer away from those sort of things. But I still had fun. Pierce Brosnan was always my childhood Bond, so yeah, I love him.
Yeah, I feel like he was my childhood Bond too, but I don't know. Watching them again, I don't know if they stand up so well. All right, let's get into some stats.
Stats.
GoldenEye, $60 million budget, made $356 million. Tomorrow Never Dies, $110 million budget, made $333 million. The World Is Not Enough, $135 million budget, made $361 million. And Die Another Day, $142 million budget, made $431 million. So
Die Another Day.
Big performer. I mean, do you think some of that was, this is Pierce Brosnan's last Bond film? Like, I feel like that was really advertised.
Was that knowledge at the time?
Yeah, I think it was.
I remember when it was out, there was I remember they had discussions about who was going to be the next Bond, and there was rumors it'd be like Russell Crowe and all this stuff, and they were pretty public about it, being like, this is his exit.
I had no idea. I was interested in like going back now to see if that was the case, because I really felt like, I don't know, you could tell that this wasn't supposed to be his last one. I don't know. It wasn't like it gave his character a farewell or anything like that. So I always thought that maybe he thought there was another one coming up, but no.
He definitely felt way older in the last movie though than the other ones to me. Like, he was really starting to show his age. Which
made him feel a lot creepier. Yeah. Like, I don't know, him flirting with Halle Berry at the bar. It's something I noticed where I was like, oh, this is like old dude in a Hawaiian shirt at the bar, like trying to like flirt with young girls. It's not James Bond anymore. I don't know.
Let's not litigate Die Another Day just yet. No. Critical reception. GoldenEye, 65% on Metacritic. Tomorrow Never Dies, 52%. The World Is Not Enough, 57%. Die Another Day, 56%. Now, I thought let's have a look at where this fits in the greater pantheon of Bond movies. So the movie that came before this quadrilogy, was License to Kill, which had a 58% Metacritic, and obviously the one after, Casino Royale, had 80% Metacritic.
Yeah, big difference.
They're a
big
different
difference.
beast.
They really are. Yeah, these movies really feel like the last of the old style Bond movies. Like it's definitely carrying on the tradition of the movies that came before it.
So it's pretty fascinating, right? Because these we forget it now, but these were also a reboot in the same way that Craig was a reboot.
Yeah.
Like GoldenEye took a good chunk of time between this and was License to Kill.
Yeah, it was like 8
And
years
so-
or something.
Yeah, and this was a conscious reboot, just as we had when Casino Royale came out. And like the two Dalton Bonds were darker and grittier than the other ones, and this was kind of a return to the camp, but also a return to the suave. Like Roger Moore was very campy, and Sean Connery is pure
Yes, he
suave.
was.
And I think Pierce Brosnan is kind of a good combination where I think he's super suave. He can definitely channel a lot of that Sean Connery energy, but these films are self-aware. Like GoldenEye's got a lot of little tongue-in-cheek moments, and it's like these movies sort of know what they are. They're trying to have a bit more fun. And they're in the unfortunate point in history where Austin Powers comes out amongst them. And these, like, we see GoldenEye, which is a serious, good film with some clever comedy. We see them just like descend into parody of a parody of a parody, which
Yeah.
is kind of sad. And
It's not.
Yep.
Sorry, you go. You go.
It's just interesting to watch it like a reboot be dethroned by something that takes the piss out of it, and then prompts like an incredible reboot with the Craig era.
Yeah.
Just how Bond adapts.
I was just going to say, it caught me by surprise to watch GoldenEye and to have like a character in that call James Bond a dinosaur and a misogynist. And I was like, oh, wow, that's weird. Like it feels like that's what should have come in the Daniel Craig one. Like, it feels like they're already self-aware of like how problematic the James Bond character might be, but
yeah, exactly.
then they just go full into it. He bangs half the women in the movie.
Yeah, like especially in the later ones, they just lose it all. Like GoldenEye has a really clever idea of what it's supposed to be, and being like it knows it's kind of outdated already, but it still does something really great with it, I think. And yeah, the other ones lose that vision, which is a shame. But this is the curse of all Bond. Like the Craig films did it as well. Spectre was garbage, I think. Like no offense to it, but I think they kind of lose their way. It seems to be just a common trope. It picks it up at the end, but Craig's Bonds aren't without fault either.
I think the worst Craig Bond films seem to be the ones that try to harken back a bit more to this style too. Like he gets his his cast of co-stars, Q and all that, and once all that sort of comes back on board, it's not as interesting. Whereas Casino Royale feels like a really different Bond film compared to anything that came before it.
Yeah.
It feels like a great film. Like it does, it feels different than Bond. Like it feels this awesome action sort of flick. But
I think in the same way GoldenEye does, though. Like GoldenEye feels different and new and fresh, and it's no surprise they're both Martin Campbell. Like he reboots the franchise twice, both times. Damn good job. Like kudos to him. But yeah,
stick around a bit more.
I know I want to see him reboot with the next one in 2030, but it seems to be this weird thing, like that dilemma where Bond almost works better when it's subverting what Bond is, and when you get the standard Bond films, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you need these because this is actually what it is. But the most exciting ones are when it's not doing what Bond does, which is a weird sentence to say, but that's kind of some people revere the Timothy Dalton because they're a really dark, gritty turn. People like the George Lazenby film on Her Majesty's Secret Service because it's a shift from what we expected with Sean Connery. Like
some people love Moonraker. Out in space.
I'll take your word for that. I can't actually confirm or deny that. And GoldenEye is like one of the most beloved ones. Whereas then he goes back to 3 fairly standard Bond films, and it's like, no, we don't want that. It's weird. It's just nothing's like Bond. James Bond is like nothing else.
All right, should we kick it off? Get into GoldenEye.
Yep.
Years after a
Yes.
friend and fellow double O agent is killed on a joint mission, a Russian crime syndicate steals a secret space-based weapon program known as GoldenEye, and James Bond has to stop them from using it.
What a nonsense
What a
premise! I
deal.
love it.
Yeah, I mean, all of these movies have the most nonsense premises, I feel like. Like, there's not a one of them
Yep.
that really stands up to scrutiny.
No.
No.
But, yeah.
My
this-
wife hard bailed out on GoldenEye. She was like, what?
Oh, what?
She was like, what is even going on?
Huh?
Yeah, she has no nostalgia for it. But she did not want to participate in the other ones. She was out. She like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, that's fair.
But, I mean, how good is this opening sequence? The dam infiltration?
Oh,
Like,
awesome
That's great.
opening. Classic opening.
amazing. Yeah, classic.
Yep.
Yeah, sets the tone. Well, I say like it's cold open, it's serious, but then you it's the same. It's like beg your pardon, forgot to knock. Love it. It's
Got
like,
to
oh,
knock.
this Bond's witty. He's funny as well. He's having fun whilst kicking ass.
Yep. The amount of puns and like it made me like sorry to go to Austin Powers straight away. Like it made me realize the whole thing about when someone dies a brutal death and he just there tries to make all these wisecracks right afterwards. It makes me realize that James Bond really does it after like every person he kills.
Does.
Any unique death, he has to have this quip at the end. It's I love it, though. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. I know, this film's like this film holds up. It's really exciting. It's got that sense of like globetrotting, right? It goes to a lot of different places. It goes to a lot of areas. It introduces all the good characters. I can't remember if this is Judi Dench's first appearance as M, but I think it is.
I
Which
believe so.
is a big trait. Like M was traditionally a male, so it's a big change for that, and it's it changes the dynamic of Bond. It's like this guy isn't just a manly man in a man's world. He's actually working for a woman, and he's working for Queen and Country. Like, he kind of is an outsider, and there's an interesting take on that. And the other thing that I think stands out about GoldenEye is this is like one of the first Bond films to address his past, right? It actually has a bit of exploration of his personality, and it kind of questions who his parents are, and it has this interesting thing with Trevelyan where they grew up as kids in the orphanage together.
Yep.
And you get a bit of a glimpse of the humanity, which we then end up seeing a lot of in Casino Royale, which becomes the best part of that movie. Like,
Yeah.
this film's asking questions about who is Bond and what is this character today, and what could make a man like this. And that's really fascinating. Like, it's not just a fun spy flick. It's actually got not crazy deep, but it's got a somewhat like deep exploration to it, or a heart to it that it wants to try to express.
Yeah, Bond. I was surprised at how much I really liked Bond in this movie. Like, I'm like, oh, he's not just like, he's really suave, but he's not as creepy as I remembered. Like, he's kind of a gentleman spy, right? Like
Yeah.
As soon as we leave this movie, he becomes the sleazy spy, I suppose. But yeah, there's something about this movie. I just really enjoyed Bond in this movie. Like, he's a gentleman. He's a lot of fun, and yeah, you do get to explore his history a bit. Is this the first time we get introduced to another 00 agent? I don't know my Bond history all that well, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think so, but that's the thing. It's been a long time since I've watched any of the other films.
Yeah,
It's always just been Pierce and Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
I like that opening where they're working together. It feels very unique in the Bond universe. Like, Bond always feels like a bit of a lone gun, right?
yeah. Like, he totally is. He always it's always just him, and so it's nice to flesh that world out a bit more.
Even though he gets betrayed immediately.
That's it. Well, we don't know that. We just think Sean Bean dies again.
True,
But-
true.
That's the thing. Like, straight away, I really do like their dynamic, and straight away, the whole thing of 006. Like, I don't know, like you said, Grant, it adds a whole different thing to it, where it's like this team agent thing instead of, so you believe it's maybe early in Bond's career sort of thing. Like, he's out on co-op missions instead of like soloing it or anything like that. But yeah, but I really enjoy that scene as well, with the setting off the timers and stuff, and then Trevelyan gets held up and shot, and he just slowly
Walks
like
past with the
walks out
explode.
with the
Yeah.
drums, and it's just like
Yep.
the noise of the drums making. I always really enjoyed that scene.
It's a really good bit. It's a really good bit.
Yeah.
And then it ends with him chasing the plane off the cliff. Like,
Oh my god.
so good.
Baller.
Probably the
Baller.
best stunt in all four of these movies, in my opinion.
He
Easily.
actually did it too. He actually did it.
Actually,
think
cool
so.
plane. We get one shot of this pissed on
He
screen.
wrote, "Please don't die. Ride this motorbike off the cliff. You better catch that plane before it hits the ground." And he did it.
It's
What a
pretty
legend.
nuts. Yeah, it's this film as well. Really interesting. It's the first Bond film to not be based off an Ian Fleming novel. This is an entirely new story. So GoldenEye was like his house in Jamaica, I think, like the GoldenEye estate. But yeah, this is a whole new. It's entirely original, not based off any previous material, which is interesting. Like, I think it's a cool way to explore the character for the modern day, right? Like Ian Fleming's obviously writing this in the 50s and 60s. This character's pretty outdated, so they're not trying to use the same thing. Even though it's still kind of a nonsensical plot, it's a bit more interesting. It's using satellites and EMPs, and it's like that's cool, and I don't know, it gives them a lot of room to work.
I was going to say, like, it feels like, that this is a film in the 90s was being modern. Like, it's like, oh, here's all our new fancy stuff that we have in the future, like all these computers and all this sort of stuff. And I noted a few times in my notes for these films, they love their satellites. It feels like every movie it goes to a satellite in space, evolving into something, and it's like, oh, okay. We must have really believed satellites were a curse on the world in the 2000s. Or like,
I think connectivity was like a big thing coming in then. Like, it was kind of like early days of the internet. People didn't really know what it was. So it was easy just to say satellites, and everyone's like, oh, that's how they're connecting to each other.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really enjoy that old 90s tech. Like, Boris is just like straight out. He reminds me so much of Newman in Jurassic Park. He's like, Like, he's just the same character. Setting up these little traps on the computer and stuff, and all that, like the 90s hacker tropes are here, and they're all a lot of fun.
They're just
I don't know. I think they kind of hold up. Like, they weren't realistic then. They're not realistic now, so they might as well be fun, right? Like, that's a better way to do it than trying to be super serious and getting it wrong and then being laughable 20 years down the track.
That's the thing. I feel like movies that take themselves seriously still do the hacker man of people just typing really fast on a computer and doing that same sort of thing. So, yeah.
It's just, you kind of need that visual shorthand to, like, how do you tell this is an intense thing? You type fast. Otherwise, they're just sitting there letting a program do it. It's boring. It's boring as hell.
Clicking the pen as well. It's just, I don't know. It's this, all that stuff with Boris is like iconic. I feel like, just
the
like
pen at the end,
the way he says lines, the pen, it's yeah.
I remember, for years, it just being like, I am invincible. Like, I was just quoted that all the time.
Slughead.
And his little riddles that are always really bad sexual innuendo, like not that clever, but
a lot of sex pests.
No, for years, every time I clicked a pen, I thought of Boris. It was just instant. Like, I'd start doing that, start typing a little faster on my computer at work. Hacker man.
And again, Campbell does it again with Le Chiffre in Casino Royale. He's got the chips and he flicks them over in his hand, right?
Yeah.
He just keeps creating these characters with interesting things to do with your hands. It's just a good way to tell you someone's smart. It's like, this guy's intense. He's focused. They have this habit they can't avoid doing. Yeah. What do you guys think of Natalia and Xenia on the top? Actually, there's two sort of Bond girls here.
One's a femme fatale, right, and one's the Bond girl. Yeah. Natalia's fine. She's not terribly exciting as far as Bond girls go.
Sure.
I think she's pretty strong, actually. I don't know. I guess compared to, I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia. It could be nostalgia. Like, I don't know.
Oh, there's some definitely bad ones in this set of movies, but she feels the most like girl next Russian door. I don't know. She's country. Like,
yeah. She definitely. I always remember that scene.
You go.
Yeah, I think she's a strong female. Like, she stands up to them and everything like that. But that scene of, like, when I don't know why I always found it like terrifying as a kid. When Zenya's walking around shooting in the thing and sees the coffee on the floor. I just remember all this stuff like distinctively of
Yeah.
oh, where is she? Is she in the vent? Where'd she hide? And it's just brutal. Like you see, she has that relationship with the girl, like her friend that she's talking to, and then you just see her dead, and it's just like it's pretty brutal. They just wipe out everyone,
Yeah.
Well, that seems hardcore. Yeah, she just walks in and mows everyone down,
and really enjoys it.
Xenia on its off, and her climactic killing it's pretty funny.
She's great. She's got a really good name. Like that's nearly Austin Powers level, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's just they watched that film, and as soon as she said that, the Austin Power creators were like, we need to do something with this. Let's make some films. But I don't know. I feel like she's like the top Bond femme fatale. Like she's just classic. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her death is really good.
Yeah.
Her sex fighting with Bond in the spa is pretty good.
That's great. That's yeah.
The lip biting, man, that would hurt. And he just sits her on the sauna and just burns.
Burns her, yeah. No, she's wild. Every scene with her is crazy. She's like she bangs that colonel, and then you see him the next morning, and he falls out. He's got that big smile on his face. He's died of asphyxiation. She's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like she's good at balance to Natalia, because Natalia is she's very grounded. She's a very like, I don't really want I don't want to deal with you, but they have to be together. And they're thrown together because of circumstance. And so she is kind of plain in that sense, whereas Xenia is so over the top as well as on the top. And so that works well, because if Natalia was interesting, you'd be I think it'd be too much. So
is the car race at the start with the bicycles and everything, is that as iconic for you guys as it is for me? That music kicks in, it's like totally
real bad music.
Yeah. It's great. Like I love it. And the doctor evaluation, it's just like straight up slimy James Bond.
Yeah.
Fully evaluated.
What a stallion.
Yep.
Is Tank in the streets of London, is that the best? There seems to be a few like vehicles out in a weird place in these these 4 movies, but I think Tank in London is the best iteration of that.
Somewhere in Russia, isn't it?
Is it Russia? I thought it was London. But
No,
I could be wrong.
Because he goes
wherever the tank is the best place to have a tank.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it's Russia.
In the street.
Because that's where, what's his name? General Urumov, and he's seeing Mishkin, and Mishkin's like a Russian, some sort of Russian high-ranking official.
Apologies.
That's all right.
But yeah, no, that little pause just when you're like, is he still chasing him? And then just the tank crashes through. It's classic. And that, like,
so good.
Anytime I feel like there's an homage to that in these Bond films, like I feel like, Casino Royale has the bulldozer just crashing through a wall and then he's on that chasing the guy. Like, I instantly think back to GoldenEye. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's iconic. Valentine, what do you guys think of Valentine as a character?
What's the actor's name again?
Yeah, I always forget. He played Cracker.
He's Hagrid. I really like him.
Robbie Coltrane.
Robbie Coltrane. Yeah.
He's all right.
Only all right.
Only all right.
Big fan of Valentine.
Didn't excite me that much.
Okay, I think he's a lot of fun. He's just there's something about him just makes me laugh every time.
I was pumped to see him back when he comes back later.
I forgot that he came back in World, isn't it? I think it's the third one.
The names of the other ones are all just a mix for me.
The plots of the other ones are all a mix for me.
Yep.
And who's the other person who's interesting? Oh, they've got. So this one's interesting as well. They don't have Felix Leiter. They have some other American CIA. I don't know, dispatch. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, the contact.
What's his? Yeah, I can't think of his name now. But he's a lot of fun.
Is it Tanner?
No, Tanner's the offsite. The Tanner's M's assistant.
Oh, that's right.
I'm looking it up now. I should have done this. Should have researched this. Jack Wade. So Jack Wade's fun as well. I think he's a nice, like, just putting the American sort of CIA next to the British ones and showing how
he's
a real Yahoo and Bond's still pretty suave. It's fun.
I like that he came back, but I
Yeah.
kind of wish he kept coming back. Like I kind of wish he was a staple across these movies.
Well, it's
It's
the
weird that he's
same.
only back like 2, and then
Yeah, but again, comparing it to Craig's films, like Felix Leiter's only in 3 of them, and the same deal. Like I wish he was always in all of them. And the same with this, Wade comes back for 2, and it's like he should be in all of them, but
Hmm.
I don't know.
Mm.
Story doesn't support it, I guess.
you don't want to mess with that story.
All right. Have we got anything else to add? What do you think of Sean Bean?
I love Sean Bean.
He's really good in this movie.
Yeah, he's always great. Like,
Yep.
I don't know what more.
I
can you
think,
say?
yeah, Trevelyan's like the best like classic Bond villain. I feel like, you know, you have the face scar and the return when you think he's dead, and yeah, I don't know that fight. I don't know if it's a video game playing with my nostalgia, but like I always remember the fight, you know, in the cradle and everything like that.
That fight was bullshit.
Yeah, that jump is bullshit sometimes, but
game was wonky.
and Boris getting frozen is pretty great.
Yeah, brilliant.
When he survives everything, he's just like,
Yeah.
I am invincible. And just
All right. Tomorrow Never Dies. James Bond sets out to stop a media mogul's plan to induce a war between China and the UK in order to obtain exclusive global media coverage. It might be the simplest plot, but holy dooly.
I don't know if it's controversial. This film has aged incredibly well.
It actually has. One of my first notes was like mistrust of the media and like media monopolies is so hot right now. It's still relevant.
If this movie
doesn't feel like a 90s film.
No, like if this movie used the phrase "fake news," it would feel like it was made. Yes, it would feel like it could be made any day. It's just missing that term, but otherwise, it's like it's got Rupert Murdoch controlling the world's media and spreading misinformation. Like,
Yeah,
this is exactly what we're facing today. It's. I forgot that that was the plot of this movie. I'm like, this is ahead of its time.
All I remember is the drill from this film. Like all these years, that's all I've remembered is that drill underwater. But yeah, no, like feel like very relevant. And straight away, obviously Murdoch. I thought of Murdoch, but I feel like I know that he was playing off of Steve Jobs as well. It was like a weird thing of the way he was giving his presentations and like his black sweater and stuff like that.
I don't think Steve Jobs was that character then, though, right? Like
well, that's what I was intrigued by. It seems like
started yet.
Exactly. But
do you reckon Steve Jobs watched this film and was like, "That's who I want to be, the villain of the Bond films"?
Maybe.
I wouldn't. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's the other way around. The opening, I really like this opening as well. Just with the jet and like ejecting the backseat driver into the other jet before it blows up. It's just like
pretty good.
Him just like popping in and just landing perfectly in the backseat of the other jet, and it explodes. It's great. It's great.
Michelle Yeoh.
I know she's so hot right now too, right? Like she's timeless now too.
That's it. I get it. Yeah, this movie is really. I'm shocked. She's really good at this as well, and she plays a really interesting Bond girl, right? She is a Bond girl, but she's very much like as strong as Bond and doesn't really want to be with him as well. She's like, we're working. They feel like partners more than anything.
Yeah.
I feel like you've got that really great scene where they're handcuffed together on the bike and they're trying to figure out how to like flipping around and navigating it. Again, I completely forgot everything about this movie. I hadn't seen this probably since I saw it as a kid.
I don't think I have seen this movie before this watching.
There you go. And I'm surprised actually how good this was, I think.
What, you hadn't seen this film?
No, I don't think I had. Nothing in it was familiar to me.
Oh, wow. Jonathan Pryce, he's always great. I really like him. You know, like obviously this High Sparrow in Game of Thrones. He's really good. He's really good as a character. Like you hate him.
It's cool having a villain who's not super strong, right? He's smart. It's like that's a nice change of pace.
They do that a bit. We'll get to it, but they do it again in the next movie.
I did find him typing up the headlines on his tablet was hilarious the way he's typing. It was like, so this person's never touched a keyboard in their life. It's just like pattern away on it, and it's like comes
Yeah.
up with like 4 letters, like Bond killed, and like rambling away for ages, like
Yeah.
technology. But
Computers were scary in '97. People didn't know how they.
yeah, exactly. There's some great sexual innuendos in this. I love like them pumper for information.
You always were a cunning linguist. That's a good one too.
Cunning linguist, yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean,
Q and his gadgets. The I love the remote controlled car. It's something I've always remembered as well.
that's
Him
true.
using
Yeah.
that little phone to control the car. and I
That's
think
the
that
only
was a
thing I
cool
remember
thing.
from these movies, and I remember them using it as like an ad for these movies. So like, look how cool
Yeah.
this is. I
Yeah.
thought it was
I like-
funny how they had a fingerprint scanner in a phone. They're like, look at this technology, and it's like, we've already moved past fingerprint scanners in our phones. But anyway,
But we don't have 3D glasses, so
true,
yeah,
I suppose.
don't cut it out yet. Q's great in these movies. He is so much fun.
Yeah.
Every time he turns up, it's the best part of the movie.
He's a good
just so
like,
over
little comic
James Bond.
relief. Yeah, he's so over him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also still likes him a bit. And they're just like this
Yeah.
great gag fest. It's like in the background. I don't remember which one it is, but in the background, the guy gets in the phone booth and just inflates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like
It's
an
so
odd
slapstick.
couple, right?
It's
Like,
surprising.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's a really nice like just offset to it all.
Dude just sits in an office chair and gets launched across the room as well. It's just like, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Now, if James Bond has a license to kill, will framing him in the newspaper for killing a girl do anything? Like, he's allowed to kill.
Yeah, look, I think
That's
the
a-
license to kill is they haven't thought that out properly. How that really works.
Yeah.
He can't
Police go there. He's
suicide.
like, sorry, I have a license.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's not just
Like,
exempt.
damn
Just
it.
kills kids, and he's like, no, I can do this. I'm James Bond.
I don't know. License to kill. Doesn't seem like there's many
When you think about it,
conditions on that.
when you
No,
think
it's
about
not
it, like license to kill, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You know that they've. I haven't heard that obviously anywhere other than James Bond, but it's this like cool little thing that our agents, they have a license to kill. Like it's.
Yeah, I
I think it's neat.
wonder if Bond made it. Because I agree, I've only ever heard it used in James Bond stuff. I mean, it's like any driver's license. You look on the back, and it's like cannot drive with a blood alcohol level. It's like cannot kill children, cannot commit war crimes.
Yeah.
Must
Okay.
be, probably has to be shot at first. All that stuff.
I think he has to get it renewed regularly. They do revoke it from time to time, don't they? They're always
Yeah,
revoking
do.
it, actually.
Yeah, every movie
Constantly. There's the banner escape down the side of the building, and I'm just like, this is straight out of Rush Hour. Did that not feel like a Rush Hour scene?
No, it totally did. I mean, to add to that, like, sorry, you go.
I was going to say, is this before Rush Hour or is it after Rush Hour?
I think this is 97. I think it might even be the same year. No, when was Rush Hour? Rush Hour's 98, so it's before it.
There we go. Rush Hour took it.
Well, no, so that's what's interesting. So this film, they needed to use Jackie Chan's stunt team in the fight scenes with Michelle Yeoh because her form of fighting is like full contact.
Yeah.
None of the other production company wanted to do it. They didn't want to, they were too scared. So you tell they've got the Hong Kong action in there. They obviously have these sensibilities. Jackie Chan's a big commodity at this point.
Yeah.
I assume he's probably done a banner slip at some point in another movie. Like,
You could feel the influences there for sure.
Yeah, like you see parts of this and they feel like a Hong Kong Jackie Chan film, and they're really fun. It's nice to have, it gives an interesting flavor to this movie. Like it makes it stand out rather than just being generic, which some other ones in the franchise fall into.
What did you guys think of the karate mocking?
Yeah, I was just
Which part?
Carver's like imitating kung fu.
He's what?
Like to Michelle Yao when she like does a bunch of kung fu to try and get out of a situation, Carver just starts mocking it for like what feels like 10 seconds.
It goes on too long. It's real awkward.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that is something that I'm blanking. Who's the guy who runs Tesla? Who's that jerk?
Elon Musk.
Elon
I feel like that's
Musk.
something I can imagine Elon Musk doing that when he
Yeah,
takes over the world.
probably.
Like that's exactly
Probably.
what those kind of arrogant twats do.
Maybe you're right. Like when Trump was imitating
Yeah.
that disabled reporter, that was pretty bad
Yeah.
too.
Exactly.
Maybe this is just how it works in the high society, and we're just getting a glimpse into it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it felt out of place, but at the same time not. It felt like, no, this dude probably would just do that, like
Like
he's not a good
his scene,
person.
no, his scenes feel like that. Like he's talking, he's really arrogant when he talks, but he also feels
Mm.
really kind of like this. He feels like he's too small for his suit. He feels like he shouldn't be there. It's like, what are you
Mm.
doing addressing this? And I think
Yeah.
that's intentional. I think it's trying to be like this guy. He is powerful and he thinks he's super powerful, but he's also this little dweeb who has just got a taste of, he's got a taste of power that people don't understand yet. Like,
He really likes the sound of his own voice too. Like he does a lot
yeah,
of monologuing in this movie.
yeah, yeah.
He does. He does.
I feel like that's all aware. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a coincidence, but it felt when I was watching this, it felt very intentional. Like they were trying to make some sort of statement with this guy.
Yeah.
The newspaper kill
The
and
what?
just the red. I don't know why I remember that. The guy falls into the newspapers, then a bunch of newspapers come out
that's
with
right.
like blood on it.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, they'll print anything these days. What are you going to say, Gordon?
Did he like the drill? What was the go with the drill? Why was there a drill there? Why did he kill him with the drill? I don't quite understand it. Feels like it might be a war crime.
You give the people what they want.
I don't
We
know.
wanted to see him get. I don't get
It
that.
seemed a little
'cause,
unnecessary.
I think it's just a thing of being like, look at this fancy tech. It's a torpedo, but we can control it remotely, like that whole remote control thing again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a pretty scary drill. I was scared of it when I was a kid. Didn't want to go near a drill for ages.
Still can't build anything with one. Yeah, it's definitely just feels like it's quirky, right? A drill torpedo. That's a cool couple of words put together.
All right. Anything else about Tomorrow Never Dies? Do you guys ever feel like Bond he always has the right gadget, and it kind of bothers me? Like, I get that's kind of his thing, but I much prefer it when he's clever with his gadgets. It's like, this wasn't the original intention, like clicking the pen, but he's using it in a clever way. But then in this one, he's got the remote control car, and there's a wire he needs to cut. So jumps a wire cutter and cuts the wire, and it's like, that's convenient.
Like right in that spot, it's like 100%. Straight away I was like, man, that's really convenient that this car has all the gadgets for the exact thing that he needs it to do
at the exact height and the right. It's going to hit it on the right angle. It's just it's all a little too convenient sometimes.
Yeah.
He's ahead of the game.
He's clairvoyant. That's what it is.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. The world is not enough. Hold on. Let me find a synopsis.
Got a nuclear weapon in it, I think.
Something like that. James Bond uncovers a nuclear plot while protecting an oil heiress from her former kidnapper, an international terrorist who can't feel pain. What an unused character.
Man. Unique villain.
He holds a rock and it's hot. It's pretty. That scene's pretty dope.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's this villain is super understated, and it bothered me in this rewatch because I remember that I was like, oh yeah, that's the one with the guy who can't feel pain. That's a cool superpower.
Yeah.
But
and like he's dying. Like this is interesting, and then they just do nothing with him. And Robert Carlyle's pretty good.
Yeah,
like he's a good actor. He does well in this role, but they just don't use him.
But especially because his whole motivation is like it's kind of a love story.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird. I guess I can see the whole he's trying to leave something for his lover, but that doesn't feel right for a guy who's like, I can't feel pain and I'm gonna die. He should be a lot more chaotic and just be like an absolute wrecking ball. But I don't know.
He can't feel love, man. That's should focus on that,
Oh, he can't feel anything, yeah.
Can't feel anything. Much to her dismay.
I want to ask you a quick question. Which Bond film would you think this is if I describe it in this way? It's a Bond film where someone with an affiliation to MI6 is killed in the opening scene. MI6 then gets blown apart, so they have to find a secret MI6. Q gets replaced with a no, there's that in the next one. Maybe it's in the next one. No, Q has a replacement in this one coming up.
Yeah, he does.
So we get a new Q. We have questions about M and her integrity, and has some of her past come back to haunt her. And there's it's focused a lot on betrayal, the themes of that. Which am I describing Skyfall here, guys? Is that ringing any bells? Or am I describing this film?
I
not
felt like that
both?
was a trick question.
It was. I set you. I was looking for a
Am I not
better
right?
segue, but I couldn't. This film has the exact same plot as Skyfall.
It really does when you lay it out like
Does,
that.
but not as good.
Definitely not as good,
But not as
but
good. No.
I was shocked just watching them. Like, it's like beat for beat in some parts. Just, like Bond gets injured in the beginning as well. It's like it's very, very similar.
Yeah. True. True.
Do you think that's on purpose?
But this one, he just
I mean, I don't know if it's on purpose. They're both the third films in the French in their respective Bond filmography as well. I mean, what's worth noticing is that pretty much all the Bond films have been written by the same two guys, and they've been tweaked by the writers, but they're basically two people who keep writing them, so they've probably just run out of material and they keep coming back to this stuff. But it was once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it watching it.
That's a good point.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess with a reboot, you touch on those stories and implement that stuff. But what's his name? Javier Bardem is a much better villain in Skyfall.
Well, Skyfall
than
is
this one.
Skyfall surpasses in every single way, but
see, like the whole thing with Daniel Craig in Skyfall about trying to get cleared to be an agent again, he could have just seduced the doctor and be
exactly.
like,
He has the exact same thing, right? He's like, how can I get through this? It's you, man. They just they literally picked up.
The doctor said you have
the script.
amazing stamina.
That's terrible.
I love it.
So bad.
It's pretty great.
All right, X-ray glasses. That's incredibly creepy. Like,
yeah,
consent is cool.
Yeah.
Like
it's like super not okay. Like if he was running around with his camera sticking it up girls' skirts, everyone would be like, "Ew, this is creepy." But no, X-ray glasses.
But hey,
it's fine.
all them people had guns. People had them,
Yes, that's true.
all them
I
guns.
guess that's true.
Like,
But that wasn't the
every
only
single
place.
person
That
in
wasn't
there
the
had a
only
gun.
thing he was looking at. Nah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, look, it's definitely.
This is where he gets into the creepy territory. Old Bond.
I mean, it's obviously played for a joke as like, oh look, you can see lots of things under clothes, but yeah, they make a big deal about it. It's like, oh yeah, cool, this is what he's into. We already know that he's a sexual Tyrannosaurus. We don't need to know that he uses X-ray specs as well. But also, it's just a really lame way to use this technology, right? Like, X-ray glasses are a holy grail for people. Why is he just like, oh, I can see you've got a gun?
They can only see through thin fabric. That's why.
Yes. Super disappointing.
Look, there's somebody behind a curtain. I saw them. The boat chase, the Batman. It reminded me of something Batman would drive, like that little boat that turns into a car. I hated it. It looked stupid. It was really lame.
Okay.
I really.
I don't mind the boat. I don't mind the boat chase.
Yeah, I thought
the boat chase is all right when the boat turns into a car.
Yeah,
he looks like he's driving this little. I don't know. It looks terrible.
It's my favorite part of that is when it goes under the water and he like adjusts his tie. Like, he's looking all suave and he like adjusts his tie while he's under the water, like can't breathe. But that's just classic. I don't mind the boat thing, but I get what you mean. It looks a little weird once it's on land.
It's crap.
Very passionate about this. Denise Richards as Dr. Christmas Jones is terrible. It's just terrible.
But it's Denise Richards.
She can't act.
No,
is what I'll say. It's because Electra's not bad. And then when Denise comes in as the actual Bond girl, it's like, I don't know, it comes across really like, and we've got this person like who's can't act for shit, who's just here for a look sort of thing. But
like that's entirely cashing in on that because at the time she was hot property. But yeah, she's not talented. She's just trying to talk nuclear physics. God, no one's believing this.
Yeah, no, she's really forgettable in this movie.
And it's a shame because Electra is actually really compelling and like she's vulnerable when she needs to be. She's strong when she needs to be. She's interesting, and that's where the drama is. But it's just it's a shame. It's a shame to have the Bond girl slot so wasted, and just Holyfield.
I don't mind like the whole thing with her father and the money explosion at the start. I like that whole thing of him touching it and then, with the ice and he notices. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Reminds me of the Dark Knight. But that high speed sphere thing that they're cruising in the tunnel.
Yeah, I still don't understand that.
No, and then they just jump out of it. Like,
Yeah.
that's going like high speed. It looks like it's going like terminal velocity. And they just like jump out. Like they're gone. Their body is broken. But oh well.
There's a lot of weird vehicles in this movie. Like there's the guys who are on I guess they're on the ski-doos with the parachutes so they can fly as well. And they're throwing grenades down. Like, that's some Wile E. Coyote shit. Like, get a gun. You don't need to throw grenades from your paraglider. That's weird.
Reminded me of that episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they go up to like the Sky Castle and they've invented that thing, and it's the same deal. It's just like it's a cool idea, but it looks really terrible.
Yeah.
They've also got the helicopter whirl blade. It just like flies around with these deadly chainsaws hanging from it.
They're a real thing. There's a pecan farm near where we live, and they have one of those, and it's metal as fuck. Like, it's cool, but it was
That'd
definitely
be terrifying.
It was definitely like
near that.
It was Chekhov's helicopter chainsaw because they show it really early on. It's like, well, that's going to come back again, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. Just another innuendo pun. When she's like, I need to get these back there or somebody's going to have my ass. And Pierce Brosnan just like pauses and like checks her. Just like, oh man.
Yep. The 90s were a different time. We
get a Heat Vision sex scene in this movie.
Which is pretty dope.
He's getting hotter. That's
that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
It is funny. It's funny, but it's really I don't know. It's strange.
There's one region on his body that's engorging.
Absolutely pulsing.
Oh man. What do you think of the chair, the neck break crank? Pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's.
It seems like that's just pushing your neck slowly at that point, and then once it gets to that last screw, snap your neck.
I mean, that would be absolutely awful. I don't know how the way he gets out of that is Valentine shoots the foot brace or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what you do with your bullet, dude.
Yeah.
That's just really. It's a poor way for him to go out, and then it's just really kind of it's lame. It's a cool it's a cool torture device.
I mean, there needs to be more Bond torture, right? Bond torture is always good.
A scene in Casino Royale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Everybody talks about that scene in Casino Royale.
Yep.
Everybody.
Yep. Not many people talk about this one.
No.
Not so much. I don't know. They went really deep with hologram. It's like there's this giant holographic head in one scene, and like Bond is like sticking his hand through it, and it just looks really, really bad. Right. It's like I don't know. I hate when movies try to overuse technology because they can. Because it never looks good like 10 years later.
No.
That's why these films look worse than GoldenEye.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I feel like GoldenEye is all physical stuff, and this is where they start getting into all the
only thing that looks bad in GoldenEye is like the lightning effect, the electricity effect that goes over everything. But it's so underused that it's not so bad. Yep. Whereas in this, particularly the next movie, has some really bad CGI.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Oh boy, it's the only thing I remember from that movie all these years is just the CGI.
It's worth mentioning John Cleese is really good in this film. He's only got a small role as R, which is kind of funny. The next Cuba.
M's exit is kind of what's the word? Fortuitous. I don't know. Like he died in a car accident. Like
Q, you mean? Sorry.
Yeah, Q. Sorry, I said M. Did I?
Yeah.
Q.
He died like
when this movie was getting released.
Yeah, which is really sad.
It is sad.
Wow, that makes that scene I thought he either retired or like he was going to. Obviously, he's dead now. I would have thought that, but wow, because I was like, they're this lining up to be replaced, and I was like, is that his actual exit? And I was like, he's not back after that one. So that's
You can't get him back because he's dead. Yeah.
Right. And this ends with the whole Marvel James Bond will return. I was like, oh. And
Do
then
any of
he
the?
didn't show up at the next one.
I mean, I never watched them till the end. Do any of the others do that, or is it just this?
Just this one.
Okay,
It's
Yeah.
weird, eh? Needs
So
an after
Marvel-
credit scene. They would have been way ahead of their time.
good stinger.
What did you think of Robert Carlyle's death? Super lame.
Can't even remember what happened.
He got impaled in the chest by the nuclear fission rod, but it wasn't even the pointy end. It was like the blunt end. It was so lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, no good. He's just everything about him's underutilized in this. Like it's very That's the other thing this movie riffs on. The Dark Knight Rises a lot. Well, The Dark Knight Rises stole this plot as well. Because she is, she betrays
Bane.
him. And yeah,
Biological,
like
yeah.
Bane is Robert Carlyle, basically. And
Yeah.
Robert Carlyle's meant to just be that enforcer, but yeah, it's criminal. It's criminal how little they do with him in this. And
They should have played on something about him not being able to feel what was going on. No, light him on fire.
Well, I mean, yeah, the
Just
fact that
have
they made
Bond be
like his
like-
whole motivation that he loves her, and then his power is he doesn't feel anything. Like there is a link there, but they don't explore it. They don't do anything with it.
no.
He's super underused. Very disappointing.
Yeah.
Great
I think-
potential, but yeah, never used.
I think there really is just that one scene where he holds the volcanic rock and you see that he can't feel pain. It's like, oh, cool. But then besides that, it's nothing really. He talks about it in a fight scene or something. But that's really all we see of it.
But like, yeah, action movies, everybody's shrugging off pain all of the time. Like you can use
Yeah.
it, but they don't. It's
No.
All right, Die Another Day. What a movie.
Yes.
I finished it like 2 hours ago. James Bond is sent to investigate the connection between a North Korean terrorist and a diamond mogul who is funding the development of an international space weapon. North Korea is a weird state to have as like technologically advanced. Knowing what we know about North Korea now, I feel like North Korea was like an unknown entity back then.
Yeah.
But I feel like since then, they very much, everybody's aware of the state that their country is in.
Yeah. If they just done like North Korea was full of nuclear weapons, it'd be pretty timeless, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. Like 20 years ago, there wasn't quite the same awareness of what was going on there. It was a lot more. It was a real insular. And this is just post 9/11 as well.
Yeah.
So there is this real sense of any of these other countries, any country that isn't America could be bad, and who knows what they could be hiding.
Yeah.
It's cool to include a new villain that's not just Russia or someone, but
Yeah. Oh, like I don't know. It's just it doesn't make this movie age very well. Like knowing how impoverished that country is, they're not a technological superpower.
I'll push back on that. Nothing in this movie makes it age very well. To be
True.
honest, so it's a drop in the ocean. This movie is a real pile of crap.
Yeah.
Its color grading is weird. Its CGI is awful. It is.
CGI is so bad.
Yeah,
It really is.
This is the movie where it is a full blown parody of itself.
I feel like this killed Pierce Brosnan as Bond.
It
Like
did.
there's scenes in this where I was like, there's no coming back from Invisible Car and surfing, CGI surfing.
Invisible
Like
Car, yeah.
you can't see him as a cool character after that. It's just like, that sucks.
Well, this is the thing. Daniel Craig said in an interview, he's like, Austin Powers made us, we had to go dark because we couldn't do it after Austin Powers. And this film is the perfect example of what happens post that era, where I think they were trying to lean into it more and they were trying to have fun. And it's just so bad.
This movie is very over the top, even compared to the ones before it. Like, there's a lot of really over the top scenes, but they don't work. They rely way too much on CGI that's just not there. James Bond is feeling way too old to be flirting with Halle Berry and Rosamund Pike. Like, it just feels weird and creepy.
It
like
does. It really does.
The sword fight feels so like you can just tell it's all stunt double, and they edit in scenes of him moving like really like slowly moving, and it just feels awful.
Yeah,
there's heaps of slow mo in this. Like the whole thing is shot like the whole film is shot
The
like
weird shots.
like a music video.
There's a slow mo scene where they're about to start torturing Halle Berry, and it's like a slow mo scene of him walking from one side of the torture chamber to the other. Like out of nowhere, for no reason. There's nothing happening except for him walking. It's super weird.
Yep.
And the car racing, when the two cars are racing on the ice,
Yeah.
or like one of the cars is or whatever, and it just that weird like slow-mo like zoom in, and it's like, yeah, it feels like a music video or something like that. But super weird.
Yeah, so many poor choices, which is strange because this movie's directed by a Kiwi guy who made Once Were Warriors, which is like this very critically adored, like pivotal film in New Zealand cinema. And then he makes this, and I'm like, I mean, you see this, right? You see like directors get a chance at a big budget film and they screw it up, but
Yeah.
I don't know how he just made every wrong choice.
How do you feel about Halle Berry? I don't like her in anything. I don't think she's a good actress.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything I like her in. Like, she's the worst part
think
of
we talked about
X-Men.
this
She's
in
bad
John
in
Wick
this
as well.
movie. Yeah, she's bad in John Wick.
She's great. No, she's great in John Wick. You're wrong, but that's fine. That's fine. You can be wrong.
I can't even remember her in John Wick, to be honest.
I think like she is. This is Oscar winner Halle Berry. Remember?
I know.
Let's just put it. I mean, I think that I'm in a similar boat. I don't think any of us, or maybe you guys have, but I don't think I've seen any of the films that she's like critically revered in. So she won
Apparently Catwoman's really good.
Like she won for Monsters Ball.
Yes, which I haven't seen, admittedly.
Me neither. So I actually don't really. All I really know her from is like her franchise stuff: John Wick, this, X-Men.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. She
same.
I think she has not the unfortunate thing, but her career is kind of whenever she's been big in a time where she's being used just for the fact that she was a woman of color. And it's not an insult to her or anything. It's just an insult. It's an insult to the industry because I think the industry is like, she's a hot property and she's a woman of color. That's relevant. Like having her in Die Another Day is very much a statement. I think, like it's a woman of color as a Bond girl. She's got short hair, which is not traditionally feminine.
Yeah,
it's just these things. Like I think they're trying to be like, look, we are relevant now. We're still up with the times, and unfortunately, they don't actually do it.
But that doesn't work when you've got Bond watching her through binoculars. Like that's super creepy.
Exactly.
Oh my god,
the two things do not go together.
Yeah. No,
he's also like 20 meters away. It's not like
she could
like
see him doing
just
it.
like walked up to him. It's just like, oh.
It's the classic thing where they put it in because like, oh yeah, we're representing now. It's like, but all the problems are still there. You haven't done anything. You've just, and her character in this is super bad. Her delivery's awful. Her character is flat as hell. Like, she's rubbish.
Where'd she get the fruit from?
Oh, that was one of my big notes. Who the hell pulls out a fig?
They're literally like at least 5 minutes into this activity. She just pulls a fruit out, like and a knife. Oh, who knows?
Where have you been hiding those?
Yeah.
You've got Madonna.
There's also the scene where she's being tortured and she's grunting, and it's very obviously like, we're gonna have to talk about it, but it's super awkward. It's very sus. Sorry, we do have Madonna. Weirdly enough,
in a cameo.
Yeah,
because obviously she did the song.
Yep.
Yes, unfortunately she did, and
we'll get into the songs later.
Another Day is a banger. Hold on, we will get into it.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Bond's Big Bang Theory, and she got the thrust of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so bad. There's so many.
Like all of these lines are similar to the lines in the other movie, but they feel so much worse in this movie. I feel like
they do. Yep. This is the first movie I noticed like clearly, like especially that scene after the binoculars, where I was just like, "This feels different. This doesn't feel okay anymore."
You can't kill my dreams. You can't kill my dreams, but my dreams can kill you. Like, what is that line? That is your big line from your bad guy.
Yeah,
you need to go practice on that monologue in a bit.
Yeah, like I think it's lost what it's trying to say. Like these movies have nothing to say. They don't know what they're doing at this point.
No,
and this feels like it doesn't really know what Bond is. Hence why it takes a 4-year gap afterwards and reevaluates some things. But
I kind of like the design of the bad guy with the shrapnel in his face, the diamond shrapnel.
That feels so. That was ridiculous. It's like jewelry.
It's stupid, but yeah. I don't know.
What about the dude getting plastic surgery to look like
gene therapy? Thank you.
Gene therapy. Yes. Sorry.
I like that idea. We replace your DNA in this one. Oh shit, that's pretty cool. Man, where's
With
that
this
bit in the
face
novel?
mask. With
And
this
there's all these
face
side
mask.
effects that they don't really go into. He's like, yeah, I have insomnia, but the dream machine keeps me sane. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like,
Don't
right,
go into that any further. And reference your dreams later on because it's important, but we don't know why.
He really likes his dreams.
yeah.
The RoboCop suit he
Yeah.
has, like with
Oh,
the
Exoskeleton.
electric arms.
Yeah, that's awful. That's awful.
It feels like Metal Gear Solid. So much of this. It's like,
Yeah. Like,
it's just
like it. Grant, like you said before, it's operatic. It's over the top. Like this feels just so bombastic and stupid, and just what's the most exaggerated thing we can do here? So, well, let's have an invisible friggin' car that like
When he interacts with it, it's
Believe it.
so bad. It's so bad.
just
Um,
every choice is way out of.
There's the book with the knife in it, and she stabs her with it, and she's like, "Read this."
this.
Like, what a bad line. Terrible delivery. The art of war. Like, okay, good on you, I guess. I don't know. It's like the easiest reference you could make.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Kill.
The,
No, that's a name you could die for. Oh, it's so
Ooh.
bad. And that guy does nothing too. Mr. Kill does nothing.
No. You're
Total
expecting some
non-character.
new, Jaws or something like that, but no, you don't even. He's nothing. There's a scene with when the parachute, like the thing goes over the cliff, and it's totally like a toy Hot Wheels toy, like slamming up against the ice. It looks
Yeah.
really distracting.
All of
always
that
remember
sequence
that.
is really bad. Like where he's
It is.
parasurfing afterwards looks really, really dumb.
So bad. It looks so bad.
Or where Halle Berry jumps off the wall backwards, that really tall wall, like it does that
Oh
dive backwards.
yeah, that's
awful.
So bad. Yep. Just
All
both the villains though as well. Like we talked about the diamond face dude, he's really bad, but the main guy, Gustav Graves,
Yeah.
he's so crap. He's so uninteresting and so
Yes.
So cliche, like just
Yeah.
such a traditional smug, like
Yeah. smug British preppy boy. Is I was going back to the sword fight, where he just like hacks the whole place apart, and he's like, "Oh, good show, sir." I'm like, "What the hell just happened? You nearly killed everybody in the room, and no one seems to worry."
Oh, it was about time we remodeled. That's their throwaway line to fix it.
Oh.
You have Moneypenny in VR at the end.
So can we
was like,
can we
"What is
talk
going
about
on?"
that? Can we talk about that? Because somebody had to write that program. Was Q writing a program so he could have sex with James Bond? Because Moneypenny didn't make that program.
She might have. We don't know. She could be smarter than we
We don't know how the VR works. We don't know how the VR
No,
works.
she doesn't know how it works.
But it could be AI. It could be like, this is the James Bond AI, so you get in there and it interacts with you on its own.
So much more advanced.
They didn't even
I
think
think
that
Q
through.
wanted to experience having sex with James Bond.
car? I think they've
It's got
transcended
cameras all around it.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, we know how it works, right? Why don't we have it?
He wanted Bond's Big Bang Theory.
You wanted to have the experience of being seduced by Bond.
Q has like a love-hate relationship with him. He always thinks he's funny, even though he's like, he's a bit pesky. He's probably got some sort of curiosity about him. I mean,
I believe it.
I think we all have a bit of curiosity about him, to be honest.
I did before this film, but now he's just. We've all had a creepy uncle. I've been there.
Yeah, like the older people get, they just lose some of those basic social cues. And Bond's getting old in this. He doesn't know what's appropriate anymore.
Going back, what do you guys think of the whole torture thing and Bond having long hair and a beard and
that's
being
a
there
lot of hair
months?
in 14 months.
But I really like that. I like that part. I actually like seeing Bond as like a prisoner and getting unkempt. That part's cool.
Mm.
It's a shame they didn't do anything with that either.
Yeah.
First thing he does, he gets back. He's like, "There we go.
Yeah,
I'm back, and I'm fully fit still.
Takes the wig off.
Super fit."
They've been feeding me really well and allowing me to exercise 3 times a day for the last 14 months.
Yep. No scars on my body. I'm good. I'm good. Torture wasn't that bad, actually.
I've never been healthier than I was in that prison.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like having sex on diamonds would be really uncomfortable. Like,
I imagine it would be.
Like
a
bunch of pointy rocks is not,
Yeah, but
not where I want to be laid down on.
It's the sheer thrill, though.
It is.
Like I just think in that moment you're like billions of dollars worth right now. and I'm defiling them. Like you're in a different
See,
space.
that's what the dude in the third movie should have been doing. He couldn't feel the pain. He should have just been like, yeah, let's do it on anything that's bad, you know?
The other person
take
can
me
feel
down to those
pain.
sharp rocks.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the twist in his character. He doesn't care, man.
Oh, so he just like
He doesn't
so he's just-
feel.
that'd be kind of cool. He just basically kills somebody because he's looking for a thrill.
He wants to live vicariously through them and see their pain.
That would be like, look, if Bond was going to go down the sick, twisted horror route, that would actually be a great villain. You're right. He's just like, I want to see how much pain I could cause because I can't feel it, and he just does awful things.
But then he's basically one thrust away from Xenia Onatop.
Yep.
who just really, really enjoys murdering people.
Yeah, they already do that character.
Yeah,
Damn.
true.
Damn.
All right, before we rate the movies, should we rate the theme songs?
Yes. Obviously, there's only one number one.
No,
Alright,
well, I definitely am going to disagree with that.
Let's list them out. We've got Goldeneye by Tina Turner, composed by Bono and The Edge. Tomorrow Never Dies by Sheryl Crow. The World Is Not Enough by Garbage. And Die Another Day by Madonna.
Worst is undoubtedly or indubitably, whichever one. Die Another Day is the worst song I think I've ever heard in my life,
Oh, really?
to be honest.
I don't know. When it came on, I'm like, this is kind of a banger. I don't think it's a good Bond song, though.
Oh, I hate it. I hate everything about it.
When it first came on, I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is horrible. Midway through, I was like, no joke, this is kind of a banger. And I was like, this might be creeping its way up the list for me because
Oh.
it's quite catchy. And if you ask me right now to think of the other two songs, I can't. I remember Die Another Day and I remember that beat. But yeah.
No.
I think GoldenEye has the music under it is really good. It's used really well throughout the movie. It brings back a heap of nostalgia for me. I don't think it's a good song. Like, I don't think the Tina Turner part adds anything for me.
I agree 100%.
No way.
It's not good. It's not
Dude,
good.
it's my favorite Bond song of all of the Bonds, man. I listen to it to this day.
No,
I listen to that song, man. Oh man, it's on my playlist. It's on my workout playlist. It's on my work.
The best of any Bond song.
Yeah, man. GoldenEye is a
just
banger, man.
what's wrong with you?
No, I can't agree with that at all.
You are James Bond.
There's no way it's not. There's no way it's not the best of these ones.
It's not the best. It's
I don't
not.
think it is either.
Oh my God.
Tomorrow Never Dies by Sheryl Crow, utterly forgettable in my opinion.
Yep.
Yes.
The World Is Not Enough, super underrated.
Yes. Thank you.
Super
Yeah,
underrated.
No.
That song slaps. That song is so good. Garbage.
I believe
yeah.
this.
I
I love
listen
Garbage.
to it again and I'm like, this is actually really good. This is super underrated.
That's a Bond song I can listen to, and it's just it stands up on its own. It's great in the movie. Yeah. Sorry, that's the best. Easily the best.
The Tina Turner parts of GoldenEye are the worst. Like, GoldenEye only works because I have nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
No, her bits go off, man.
No, that mournful like golden eye is terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Hell yeah, I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
No.
I feel like he's didn't listen to it properly.
How are you supposed to listen to it?
Listen with
Get
your
back,
eyes.
put some headphones on.
The moment the beat kicks in, that dun 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 dun, that's really good.
Oh, so
Like,
good, man.
Yes.
That like all of that part holds up. But yeah, as soon as she starts singing, I check out. I'm done.
Yep. 100% agree.
Any reflections? Oh man, it's so good.
No.
All right. I don't think we're ever going to agree.
Okay, so okay.
So
you
we
guys
can't
have
even-
what? The World Is Not Enough as number one.
Yeah.
So,
Goldeneye number
let's just rank them. So mine personally would go The World Is Not Enough, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and Die Another Day is the worst.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I would go The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Crazy.
I would have GoldenEye, then Die Another Day,
What the
then
hell?
The World Is Not Enough,
Oh,
then whatever the second one is.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies is bad.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Die Another Day is number 2. That's criminal.
I like
That's-
it.
You know
I think
what,
it's a banger.
That song's awesome.
You know what? I will go back after this podcast and listen to "World Is Not Enough" again. I don't remember it at all in my head. I can't remember it at all. I'll go give it another chance, but there's no way it tops GoldenEye.
That's because
Tina Turner. It's
It's because Tina Turner is like poisoning your mind. All you can hear is Tina Turner's voice. Every time you try to hear a new song, she just gets in your ear.
I don't think there's any influence to that. She's just simply the best.
Yeah, let's not get into it. All right.
I think it's got the best video as well.
Yeah, none of the videos stand out to me in this.
No,
actually.
None of them are great. None of them even
never
match to
remember
Daniel Craig's ones. But
Die Another Days was awful. It's this weird, yeah.
it's ice and fire and
Yeah.
clips of the torture happening in it. There was an X-ray one where it was all focused on X-rays.
Yeah.
GoldenEye's got the sickle and the hammer. It's like
Yeah, no, GoldenEye's got probably the coolest opening credits. I would agree.
yes. Okay, cool.
Which villain? Which villain wins? Which villain is the most likely to succeed? So we've got Alec Trevelyan. He's trying to use an EMP weapon called GoldenEye to destroy London's economy. We've got Elliot Carver firing a cruise missile from a sunken British warship towards Beijing to arrange a broadcasting deal with a new government. Electra King gain a monopoly on crude oil by creating a nuclear meltdown in Istanbul with the help of Renard. And we've got Gustav Graves use the sun-enhancing satellite Icarus to cut a path through the Korean demilitarized zone, provoking a war between North and South Korea.
That's what you do with a satellite.
I'm sorry, Gustav. I don't like your chances.
No, it's out there.
Like if we're just ringing them on, I feel like the one that would succeed in his plan is the one that probably has succeeded, and that's Carver.
Yeah.
That's very real. I can see that happening.
I feel like his problem is he pushes it too far. He's trying to now create the news. If he would just print misinformation and manipulate people that way, he'd be fine. As soon as he starts trying to fire missiles, he loses the plot.
You're totally right. That's his downfall. If he was just a fake news mogul, he would be most successful villain. As a person, Trevelyan is the most suited, like to succeed. He's a 00 agent. He's trained for this stuff. It's just that he gets a bit cocky, and he's got too much
with revenge.
He's got revenge. He's got too much history with Bond. Anyone else except Bond couldn't beat him.
Exactly. Except maybe 005.
I feel like Electra King is relying too much on Renard for her plan.
Yes.
Succeed. Like she's relying too much on him to do his nuclear warhead stuff. It's not enough about what she's doing.
Why do they need the nuclear warhead really again? Why can't they,
so they can destroy Istanbul so that she'll have the upper hand in the petroleum market.
They're gonna destroy a whole freaking city. Okay.
Yeah,
it's reaching. I feel like that could have been done better of just like controlling the world's oil supply is a good motivation. I just don't think they need the whole nuclear thing. But yeah, you're right. It's a pretty fragile plan. Like at any moment, anything happens with him, it falls apart.
Yeah. But yeah, Gustav Graves lost the plot.
No. Sorry, buddy.
What is that shit?
And he's like, I'm gonna just carve a line in a zone to make a war. Like you can burn literal countries with that, man. Anyway.
I feel like Gustav Grave, like Icarus, flew too close to the sun.
Very good.
Stop it. Stop making Bond one-liners.
All right, let's rank the movies. I mean, is anything else
what about,
number one?
Should we rank the Bond girls?
I feel kind of weird about it, but we can.
It was only good because it was the names. We did.
Okay. All right, so GoldenEye, you've got Natalia. Tomorrow Never Dies, you've got Waylin. The World Is Not Enough, you've got Dr. Christmas Jones. And Die Another Day, you've got Jacinta Jinx Johnston.
Got to be Wailing or Natalia.
She's the most competent by far.
I think she's the best. She's not the most iconic. Like Natalia is the most iconic.
Natalia's the most iconic.
Natalia's the one you want to take home to meet your parents, I think.
Yes, and she'd have a really good career as like working in tech and IT. She'd make a lot of money if me and her were together. Waylin would probably get killed in some sort of.
You don't want to introduce your parents.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
Jinx and Wei Lin are not all that different characters. Like they're both also agents, but Jinx is way less competent. Like she's a damsel in distress in this movie for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But he's way more cocky.
Yeah,
For some
true.
reason,
That's true
he's
too.
way cocky. And then,
True.
yep.
And
Yeah.
look, Dr. Christmas Jones. I don't know. Starship Troopers was pretty pivotal and much for me as a young man.
No, Denise Richards works when she's kind of like when she's like meta-casted, when she's playing the role of like the overtly like hypersexualized and like teen fantasy girl. She doesn't work as a real person, which is why her career never really did anything besides those 3 movies. And she's not a
Definitely
nuclear
doesn't work
physicist.
as like a nuclear
No,
physicist.
I'm sorry, you just can't sell me on that.
No.
All
I
right,
believe the invisible car first.
Which femme fatale would you fall for? Xenia Onatopp, Electra King, or Miranda Frost? I mean, Xenia, right? Like Xenia's. It's all about Xenia.
Xenia's
No, well, you'd fall for Electra because Electra is like, you need to protect me. You'd be like, yeah, okay, you're in danger, and then bam, Renard comes out and kills you.
Playing that hard to get though, like she doesn't want you.
But I mean, Xenia as well, bam, and then you're dead because
she just squeezes you.
She just squeezes you, yeah. Death by snoo.
Rosamund Pike is the most boring actress.
Yeah, she really is.
I don't know.
I really wanted Conan's opinion on Rosamund Pike because I still remember another trilogy we did when you said you find her like fascinating or something, or like
every time she comes up in something, she's an enigma.
Yeah,
and she's a super boring and everything, but she keeps working. She's fascinating, but I hate her. And in this, she's really bad. She's like unbelievable as a spy. She's unbelievable as a traitor. She's just she's nothing.
Yeah.
All right, now we rate the movies. Rank the movies.
Yep.
I mean, GoldenEye number 1 with a bullet.
GoldenEye number 1, definitely.
Yeah. There's no.
What's next? Tomorrow Never Dies.
I'd
That's
say,
in my opinion.
That's the Carver one, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Tomorrow Never Dies second. World Is Not Enough.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just goes in order, right?
Yes.
It gets worse as it
get
goes.
worse. I cannot believe Die Another Day has a higher rating than any of these other movies, like on Metacritic.
Except GoldenEye, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what has happened there. But I agree. Yeah, I think they just steadily get worse. Like I've said it, I'm going to keep banging this bell. These films just have no idea what they are, and they get in this weird spot where Austin Powers is better than them, and they're like, "We're more James Bond than you," and they're like, "What do we do?" They've taken our character and they've done something funnier with it, and it's really sad to watch. Like, because can we talk about Pierce Brosnan in the grand pantheon of Bonds?
Sure.
Yep.
Because even though he's made 3 pretty bad films and 1 great film. I think he could have been the best. If he'd had good movies, he could have been the Bond.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because think about
there's
it.
There's an argument that he still is, but yeah.
Like I used to hold on to that. But
I don't think he is.
I think Daniel Craig is just better because he has better material to work with and stuff.
He's got it's not necessarily because of who Daniel Craig is or because of his performance. It's just he was given better material to work with.
Yeah, and so he just becomes a better character as a whole. Like, one of the great what ifs will always be, what if Pierce Brosnan got 4 good films? And like you think about him in GoldenEye, he's a great combination of suave and charming and funny. He's got a bit of he's got the dad bod energy, but there's something about him that I think he's a good hybrid of all the other Bonds before him.
Yeah.
He could have been perfect. He could have been the one, but they really missed it.
I think the dad bod energy works too. Like,
I agree. No, I
don't need my James Bond to be cut. Like, he doesn't have to be.
Yeah, no, I think
he makes up for it.
And it kind of adds to that, right? Like this guy is, and they parody that in Austin Powers, where he's just somehow he's so sexy, even though he's awful. Like, there's something about his like,
hairy chest.
Exactly. It's
I don't know if any of you guys I always had this like dream of Pierce Brosnan showing back up in the Daniel Craig ones as like an older Bond, and obviously that belief that James Bond is a code name or whatever that's given to people.
I wonder if they ever go that way.
I really wanted it.
That was originally an idea for I think Skyfall. They were originally going to have Or well, no, they originally going to have Sean Connery in Skyfall, but there was like talks about that, yeah, bringing back Pierce Brosnan or Sean Connery and being like as one of the old 007s. Like,
Would have been cool.
it's just if you do that, you have to commit to one of the other theories. You have to commit to a Bond being a code name or Bond being a person. Like,
Yeah.
and so I think it's just easier not to. I would love to see it. I would love to see Pierce Brosnan as like a grizzled old spy.
The BCU. Have all the ones in there. I tell you what though, like seeing Pierce Brosnan these days with his mustache and goatee and the grey hair, I want to see an old man Bond.
Like,
One last hurrah.
This is what I want from the next Bond. This is what I want their direction to be. I want them to just do a standalone old Bond film. Like, there's a really good James Bond book called Solo, and it's about Bond when he's like a 60-year-old, and he's still a spy, but he's definitely a lot older, and he's kind of wrestling with that, becoming older, a bit useless. I would love to see that idea, just explore that character, but they won't because they need a franchise name, they need a face. But yeah, get Pierce Brosnan back to do one great Bond film.
Yep.
I'd die a happy man.
You'll never get it. Sorry.
No.
You're not going to die a happy man.
Someone out there needs to create a spy thriller and cast Pierce Brosnan as an old spy. It's just not James Bond. Someone else who's just like, hey, I grew up as Pierce Brosnan as my Bond. I want this. Here we go.
Does James Bond ever go public domain? Like, is that something that can happen? Who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, that would be...
Copyright law's messed up.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any final thoughts on Pierce Brosnan's James Bond?
I'm blown away that Casino Royale is 4 years after Die Another Day. Like,
I
that
feel
feels
like they're
like
on different planets. Yeah.
Feels like a completely different scope of cinema and film, and like a completely different. It feels like it was way longer between Bonds. Like I remember when it was like, oh wow, Daniel Craig James Bond is back, but 4 years, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think a lot of work was put into making that fix.
Yeah, I'm glad they did.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for the good, the bad, and the worst. Next fortnight, we are doing Bad Boys. Bad Boys, what you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
I have a lot of nostalgia for these movies. I don't know about you guys, but
I'm keen to reinterrogate Will Smith and who he is as a man.
We haven't done a Michael Bay film yet. Maybe one day we'll get around to Transformers, but let's start here anyway. This podcast, as usual, is brought to you by The Taste of Iron by C.V. Clarke. Very good book. Check it out on Amazon. If you like this podcast about movies, you'll like our other podcast about video games called Bonus XP. Check it out on all your major podcasting platforms. Please rate us on Spotify and iTunes. It helps us out a great deal. Find us on social media at Good Bad Worst and at Bonus XP. And we'll catch you next time.
Yeah. Goodbye.